Hi, I'm Chris Lorenz and I'm a member of yesterday's Heritage Questers in Cedar Falls. And it all began with a turkey. I never intended to start a collection. I just wanted a couple of examples of turkeys to use for Thanksgiving decorations. Pretty soon the flock grew to over 50 turkey candles and then expanded to include holiday figures for Christmas, Easter, and Halloween in addition to Thanksgiving. As a quester, I thought it would be fun to learn more about the candles and maybe do a program. I'm a volunteer at the Historical Society, and this is the current part of our Cabinets of Curiosity series. We all grew up with some of the fun little wax figures, and they bring back many memories of family holidays and traditions. Some of what I found was surprising, and I learned a lot. First, the candles were never meant to be practical or to be burned. They were purchased for display and decoration in the home. They were made well, and because of that, they had nice detail, and people were able to keep and use them year after year. In 1927, Franklin C. Gurley left his position at Buffalo, New York's National Aniline and Chemical Company to build a business of his own. He had been a chemist, and he had purchased Robert White's new confectionery company, W&F Manufacturing, which had been incorporated only a year before, to produce all kinds of candies, chocolates, ice cream dainties, and paraffin novelties. In 1930, Gurley reported his occupation as confectioner. A few blocks away, Glen Confections was busily producing their own popular paraffin novelties, and they continued to do so after becoming the wax candy division of Gurley's W&F. Wax horse teeth, said to taste like wintergreen, lips, mustaches, and other novelties were produced, while Gurley further explored expansion opportunities for his rapidly growing business. Do you remember all these silly novelties? In 1939, W&F began producing novelty candles for Saucony Vacuum Oil and Company under the Tavern label. Standard Oil of New York, which is now Exxon Mobil, was part of this whole organization. The paraffin came from Saucony's old refinery near Orleans, New York, which once was the largest crude oil storage site in the world. Now we see that paraffin is a byproduct or waste product of the oil refining process, and candle making was a good way to use up this excess paraffin. This explains the standard oil label that is still on the bottom of the angel on the far right. A friend found her for me in Des Moines at an antique shop in 2010, and she's still in her original plastic wrapper. She's never been opened. On the left, in the back, is a caroler girl that I had never ever seen before. I found her last year in an antique shop, and she still has her label on her as well. In the front center, on the bottom, is a small African American caroler that was one of the more hard and rare, hard to find girly candles. Here's an unwrapped version of the same angel that you saw in the previous slide. And on the right is a label for Wayside Candles, which was another one of Standard's names for their girly candle division. The Glen Confections division produced food-grade paraffin lips using paraffin from a refinery in Pennsylvania. Some are also labeled Wayside, a Standard Oil product, as you see here. Some novelty candles were originally marketed under the name Tavern and included Santas, elves, reindeer, and others. And here's an example of an original Tavern box. This is the Easter rabbit bunny that came in the green tavern box that you saw on the previous slide. In 1949, the name was changed to Gurley Candles, and their products included candles for all major holidays. Christmas and Halloween are usually the most sought after by collectors today. Gurley candles were mostly sold through 5 and dime stores like Woolworths and some department stores like Macy's. And I have a couple, as you see one here, that even have the original Kmart price sticker on them. If a label has a zip code on it, then we know it's from sometime after the 1960s when zip codes were first used. They first sold for as little as 10 cents, and the most expensive was $1.29, as you see here on the right. At some point, Gurley also made some of their figures as candy containers. They were hollow and had an opening at the bottom. I didn't find a lot of information on them, but we know they were called peel-aways. That was their brand. And the bottom would be peeled off to reveal the candy in the middle, in the center hollow area. I believe this hollow pumpkin is an example of a Gurley peel-away. And the Pilgrim Girl on the left is labeled Fanny Farmer, but I believe they were made by Gurley as well. In addition to the Pilgrim Woman that you just saw, this is a turkey that's Gurley made for Fanny Farmer candy. Those are hollow all the way through, so they're very lightweight, and the bottom would be pulled off to reveal the candy below. I didn't find specific connection between Gurley and Fanny Farmer, but I'm fairly certain that Gurley made the Fanny Farmer containers. Whoops. Gurley closed and ceased production sometime after the late 1970s, making their little novelties more popular and collectible as they became much more rare. Today there are many collectors of Gurley and Tavern candles. You might also find Tavern, Saucony Vacuum Oil Company, and W&F labels. I've found a few in the original box, like the red one you see here, and the green Tavern box that you saw earlier. The red box held this wonderful set of 4 little skaters that are great to display at Christmas time. The best finds are in good condition with unlit wicks, as you see here as well. Some products were even made without wicks, never intended to be lit or burned. Here are 4 small Christmas figures, 3 with hooks that were meant to hang on a tree, and they have no labels. But I have an almost identical soldier that has a wick and a Gurley label on the right here. And so the 3 hanging ones are almost certainly Gurley, as I found a set on eBay in their original box that are labeled Gurley. Most common are the Christmas carolers, turkeys, pilgrims, and other Easter figures. They can be found in antique shops for usually under $8 to $10, and more for some of the more rare figures. Lots of people buy them for nostalgia reasons, as they remember having them in the family as a child. Halloween figures are also very popular, and here are some examples of Halloween figures. Most rare include a nativity set, a Mayflower, and cowboy and cowgirl figures. I've seen some of these on eBay, but didn't find a lot currently. This is an image of the nativity set that was found on another website. There are many examples on eBay currently, including many that I've never seen. For example, there are 374 Thanksgiving items listed, 74 Easter items, 649 Christmas items, and 350 Halloween items. including these sets of glow candles. The glow candles were painted with some kind of iridescent paint, and they're meant to glow in the dark. The 3 that are listed here, shown in the box, are listed for $50. Also on eBay is a set of African American and Caucasian choir kids from about 1959, and those are priced at $50 currently. There was a set of 4 small bunnies in an original tavern box for $20, and I almost bid on those. There's a set of 10 Christmas ornaments in a box for $15, a wayside box of plain birthday candles for $12, and here is an example of those girly birthday candles. Their catalogs are also hard to find, and I couldn't find any on eBay currently, but evidently there still are some examples of their early catalogs out there. The large Native American boy and girl in this slide are pretty unusual, as I've only seen them a couple of other times. They're clear down in the bottom of the shelf. The small Native American is also pretty rare, and he's on the far right. I found these little wax boots on eBay probably 20 years ago, and I had a whole set in their original box labeled W&F Manufacturing, and they originally sold for only 5 cents each. They come in red and green. You saw some green ones earlier, and when we downsized, I did sell that whole box of originals and kept a few separate ones. A few of my pieces are also labeled Suni, S-U-N-I, which had become a division of Gurley. And you also notice that these have zip codes on them, so that we know they're some of their newer pieces. Here are some examples of Christmas carolers and small Christmas figures. These are all fairly small. You can see how similar many of them are, and yet different versions. Like here's 3 different versions of angels in the figures, and some you can tell it's girls and some boys, and some you're not sure. Here are some more examples of girly Christmas candles. We've already talked about the little African American caroler, and I don't know if you can see it, but in the church, on the top right, the center of the church has a small, tiny little caroler inserted inside the church. Here are more Christmas figures, including several different sizes of Santas. And on the right is a fairly large Santa head that the wick for it is shown slightly on the side at the back. Here's some additional Christmas on the top left shelf of the cabinet, and on the right is a fairly large snowman. Here are some examples of additional Easter figures, including a whole series of rabbits in different colors with their top hats and different colors of their ears and their bodies, and a couple of small eggs that are hollow, but if you look carefully inside the eggs, you can see there's a small Easter bunny inside the egg. I believe most of these have not been burned. We mentioned that Gurley closed sometime in the 1970s, and at some point, Vermont Country Store purchased many of the Gurley candle molds and is manufacturing candles today that look just about exactly like the originals. The labels will be different, and the new candles will be more brightly colored than the older vintage originals. In fact, I've gotten 2 Vermont Country Store catalogs in the last month, and this slide shows their website, and they are selling several groupings of the candles for 1995, and as you can see here, they're sold out for Thanksgiving turkeys. How should you care for your girly candles or any other novelty candles? They should be stored carefully inside, away from high temperatures, never in the attic. Many friends have found Grandma's girly candles melted in the attic when they went to clean out Grandma's attic years later. I wrap mine in tissue paper, and that seems to work fine. Here's an example of a melted candle that was displayed too close to the fireplace. It was never lit, but it just melted. I like to display my candles each season in various places around the house, in little vignettes, on the top of a table, in a bookcase, on the top of furniture, and with other seasonal items. Here's a couple of examples of Halloween on a bookcase and some turkeys on a tabletop. When we downsized and moved into a retirement community almost 3 years ago, my girly collection was one thing that I kept because they're small, not very breakable, and fairly easy to store. A few pieces from my collection are currently on display in the Cabinets of Curiosity at the Victorian House Museum at the Cedar Falls Historical Society. They're open daily, except Mondays, 10 to 4 p.m., and on Saturdays and Sundays from 1 to 4. Admission is free. You'll see the Cabinet of Curiosity shelves here on the left, and at the top picture on the right, they're displayed in the kitchen. Admission is free, and the display will be up until December 17th. Thank you for watching our program and joining us today.